Okay, we're going to pick up again with paper 173.5.3. So paragraph 5, or dot 5, paragraph 3. And we were talking about the people that didn't want to come to the marriage feast and how they treated the messengers that went out. Now he's punished these people, and we're going to move on.
When he had punished those who spurned his invitation, he appointed yet another day for the wedding feast, and said to his messengers, They who were first bidden to the wedding were not worthy. So go now into the parting of the ways, and into the highways, and even beyond the borders of the city, and as many as you shall find, bid even these strangers to come in and attend this wedding feast. Then these servants went out into the highways and the out-of-the-way places, and they gathered together as many as they found, good and bad, rich and poor, so that at last the wedding chamber was filled with willing guests. When all was ready, the king came.
So it's interesting to point out here that they changed the date because the first date didn't work. Everything was prepared, but it was all a loss. It's not like they just ran out and said, "Go get anybody, bring them in." No, no, it wasn't like haphazard. The Lord's never haphazard about anything. It's not like you have to make a decision now or else it's gone forever. No, no, no. He set another date. So he set a date, made the preparations, did all that stuff, but he also sent all his servants out to the highways and out of the way places and invited all these people to come on this date, help them get there even, so that they would be able to come and fill the wedding chamber when the date arrived. Nothing's ever done haphazard. If you want to know the Lord's will in your life, it involves a key element in every stage, in every decision, in every point. Patience. Patience. The Lord's will is not yours. Be patient. You will see the Lord's will in your life, but it requires patience. Things don't happen right away. Oh, they can, but those are miraculous events, whether you realize it or not. And miracles come because of faith. You had faith before, therefore the Lord can wrought a miracle upon your life. Whether small or large, He can do it. But the rest of the time, you're going to see the Lord's will play out in your life in patience, in things that require patience, long-suffering, gentleness, meekness, love unfeigned. These things have the law has no hold on these things. Why? Because they are of God. Let's move on.
Came in to view his guests, and much to his surprise he saw there a man without a wedding garment. The king, since he had freely provided wedding garments for all his guests, addressing this man, said, Friend, how is it that you come into my guest chamber on this occasion without a wedding garment? And this unprepared man was speechless. Then said the king to his servants, Cast out this thoughtless guest from my house to share the lot of all the others who have spurned my hospitality and rejected my call. I will have none here except those who delight to accept my invitation, and who do me the honor to wear those guest garments so freely provided for all.
Yeah, so unlike really what you talked about in the scriptures, this book offers additional insight. The garments were provided to all. You didn't have to bring them, you didn't have to have them. You were given them. And this person was so obstinate. First of all, he didn't want to be there. But then he came, but then he wasn't going to wear the garment. What did he want? Just the free food, but not actually have to pay homage to the king and to the son's wedding? What? Why would you even go? See, it makes no sense. And yet, this person is the most obstinate, the most determined. These are the sons of perdition. Those, I don't want to sound harsh in any way, but those who are determined to walk the walk as if being a disciple of Christ and yet are determined to not do good, to take advantage, to cast off the requirements of walking as a disciple of Christ, i.e., taking upon them the garments that are required for this path. They reject those things. They don't want to wear them. They just pretend to be disciples of Christ. Those are those that are going to be cast out. And, you know, because the Lord doesn't want them. If you are lukewarm, I shall spew thee out. Be hot or cold. This man was like neither hot nor cold. He's like, I'm not going to go. He's like, I'll go, but I don't want to be there. But I'm not going to wear the garment, but I'm going to eat the food. See, he's lukewarm. Don't be that way. Don't be lukewarm. And don't be a son of perdition. Don't fight against God. Let's move on.
After speaking this parable, Jesus was about to dismiss the multitude when a sympathetic believer, making his way through the crowds toward him, asked, "But, Master, how shall we know about these things? How shall we be ready for the King's invitation? What sign will you give us whereby we shall know that you are the Son of God?" And when the Master heard this, he said, "Only one sign shall be given you." And then, pointing to his own body, he continued, "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up." But they did not understand him, and as they dispersed, they talked among themselves, saying, "Almost 50 years has this temple been in building, and yet he says he will destroy it and raise it up in 3 days. Even his own apostles did not comprehend the significance of this utterance, but subsequently, after his resurrection, they recalled what he had said.
It's interesting to point out that we, looking back, can understand this perfectly, but at the same time, remember, this person was asking a question: what is the sign for the second time of coming together to celebrate the wedding, Christ's bestowal upon this planet? It's his death and resurrection. So he's already here. The wedding is already happening. We are a part of this wedding feast. It's not something that's happened in the past. We're a part of it now. The wedding feast is continuing well into the night. We're a part of it. Let us act accordingly. This is a great time to be alive. Yes, there's evil, and the devil has great sway over the hearts of men. But Christ is here. He already lives here on this planet. He's a part of our lives. He is our default planetary prince, which means he has a responsibility to take care of all of us, to give us what we need to help us in our progress for good, towards righteousness and truth. He will help us win. He will help us gain the victory over evil. We just have to accept it. We have to call upon the powers of heaven to bless others' lives around us, and they will be blessed, and in turn, we will be blessed as well. And like a light switch, we must let the power flow through us to the light to give to others. But the power benefits the light switch too, because it passes through it. The light switch has everything it needs in order for the power to continue to move and flow through it. Your needs will be met. Your every need and even many of your desires will be met because you are a light switch to bring the power of God into the lives of others. Let your light so shine, meaning your light shines on others, which brings them light. And it does so because you freely give it. Love one another as I have loved you. Share your light and help others feel that light, and they will light up. Help them feel that power that flows through you. Let's move on.
About 4 o'clock this afternoon, Jesus beckoned to his apostles and indicated that he desired to leave the temple and go to Bethany for their evening meal and a night of rest. On the way up Olivet, Jesus instructed Andrew, Philip, and Thomas that on the morrow they should establish a camp nearer the city which they could occupy during the remainder of the Passover week. In compliance with this instruction, the following morning they pitched their tents in the hillside ravine overlooking the public camping park of Gethsemane, on a plot of ground belonging to Simon of Bethany. Again, it was a silent group of Jews who made their way up the western slope of Olivet on this Monday night. These 12 men, as never before, were beginning to sense that something tragic was about to happen. While the dramatic cleansing of the temple during the early morning had aroused their hopes of seeing the Master assert himself and manifest his mighty powers, the events of the entire afternoon only operated as an anticlimax in that they all pointed to the certain rejection of Jesus' teaching by the Jewish authorities. The apostles were gripped by suspense and were held in the firm grasp of a terrible uncertainty. They realized that only a few short days could intervene between the events of the day just past and the crash of an impending doom. They all felt that something tremendous was about to happen, but they knew not what to expect. They went to their various places for rest, but they slept very little. Even the Alphaeus twins were at last aroused to the realization that the events of the Master's life were moving swiftly toward their final culmination.
Okay, we'll stop with this. It's a little bit early, but I'd just like to mention that that feeling of impending doom. I think we have it in our lives every once in a while. We feel this feeling of impending doom or something that's just like we know bad's going to come, but we're hoping for better. Um, but at the same time, better will always come from the ashes of the bad. Let the things happen that the Lord wants to happen in your life. Have faith in Him. When you're faced with trial and tribulation, have faith in Him, and you will pass through much stronger than you would have if you just gave up or questioned or just like, woe is me. Instead, if you say, I trust you, Lord, no matter what comes, I trust you, and let the refiner's fire refine you to really make you something better. It's difficult, but at the same time, when we know that it must be passed through, let's do so with a happy face, a determination to be positive with Christ, be positive with His will in our lives, with the Father's will in our lives, and we will come out much better. Faith is imbued through tribulation. True faith. Faith moves us forward, but true faith is forged in tribulation. That belief, that constancy with the Lord, to know without doubt you will be the Lord's because you have trusted in Him and will always trust in Him, is something that can only be imbued in your soul through the tribulation, through the refiner's fire. Because it confirms to you that yes, you have passed through this struggle and continued to be faithful to the Lord. And it's the struggle that teaches you, yes, you have constancy with the Lord, and you know you do, because you've done it. That doesn't mean we can't question, we can't struggle, and these other things, but at some point in your life, because you've seen the Lord's hand in your life and it's been good to you, despite the struggle, at some point you'll say, look, the next struggle comes along, I'm going to trust the Lord. I'm going to trust Him. Say that now. Say that now to yourself. The next struggle that comes in my life, I will trust the Lord. Though I want to question and lash out and scream at the wind and question the Lord's will, I won't. I'm going to trust Him. Because the next time it comes and you do that, oh, your faith is forged so much more strongly inside you, to the point that you know you are becoming an adgundanter, as it says in the Urantia Book, that you are facing insuperable difficulties, things that are beyond your capacity to endure, and yet you do, because the Lord's there with you. That is what it means. And that knowledge that you have imbued in you is needed in this universe. It's desperately needed by so many in so many places. And after this life, you will go into the universe ill prepared for the station with which you'll be given. You'll be learning so much from those around you, but they will need something that you can give. And that is that constancy of faith, that you know the Lord is there. You know, because you lived your life in such obscurity and inability to see the Lord's hand very well. You know He's there because you've trusted in Him and everything's worked out. So you don't need to learn this, but you can help others see it. And you'll be there for that reason to help them. When they've given up hope in their station, they will come to you for that moral support, that knowing that to know what you know through your experience, how to trust the Lord. That's an important thing. We are kind of like the WD-40 of the universe. We really lubricate things and keep things moving. So don't give up on yourself. Have faith in the Lord now. Remember, every time you trust Him, it imbues more faith in you. Okay, I love you. Take care. Thanks for listening.